You are now listening to the smooth sounds of Love Atia. Ciao, beautiful souls. My name's Atia, and I am your future bestie in your head. I am a sex-positive animal activist. I grew up in Queens, New York, and was homeschooled/unschooled for about 12 years. I was a virgin until I was 24 and attempted to have a hoe phase for 2 years, which eventually led me to being accidentally/intentionally celibate. And here we are today. My past left me with a lot of wild stories, a lot of lessons, and a hell of a lot of trauma. Thank God for my wicked sense of humor, because God only knows I would have perished by now. With that being said, this is your gentle reminder that the Love Atia experience was created as a safe space for me to reflect and share the lessons that I've learned from past traumas. Shit gets real on this podcast, and topics such as domestic violence, sexual assault, substance abuse, depression, anxiety, and suicide may be referenced. If you are working through feeling triggered by certain topics, this may not be the show for you right now, and that's okay. Healing takes time and isn't linear. I'll be here when you're ready. Now, without further ado, the Love Atia experience is an experience. So get ready for laughs, crazy story times, and life-changing pleasure tips here on the Love Atia Experience podcast. My name's Love Atia, and I think I might have PMDD. Hey, beautiful souls, it's your girl Love Atia. And this is not like your normal episode because I am not on video. I'm actually currently in bed, slightly hungover with a small tinge of cramps. Love that. I don't know why that's such a pattern in my life. Like when I do have a hangover, I usually always get my period the next day. And it's like, what came first, the period or the hangover? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. We can dive deeper into that. But I have just been sitting here with looping thoughts over and over and over, just going through them in my head, and I kind of had the yearning to want to write, but I don't feel like writing right now. I may never actually publish this episode, but it felt good to be able to like just talk to my community about it. And I found a lot of videos and resources about PMDD, which is what today's episode is going to be about. But I think that also just talking through my own experiences will be helpful in my healing. So let's just start off with what PMDD is. PMDD stands for premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And the major, let me just Google what the symptoms of PMDD are so I can like give you symptoms of PMDD. Probably should have had this pulled up, but it's okay. I'm giving myself grace. All right, so it says, PMDD causes extreme mood shifts that can disrupt work and damage relationships. Symptoms include extreme sadness, hopelessness, irritability, or anger, plus common PMS symptoms such as breast tenderness and bloating. People may experience pain areas in the breast, muscles, or pelvis. You experience mood swings, sadness, anger, anxiety, hopelessness, or panic attacks. For sleep, you either have excess sleepiness or just full-blown insomnia. You can be irritable or crying a lot. And also common is appetite changes, bloating, depression, diminished interest in usual activities, economic or social dysfunction due to symptoms, fatigue, feeling overwhelmed, food cravings, headache, increased sensitivity to rejection, lack of concentration, self-critical thoughts, water retention, or weight gain. Now, I'm just going to be pinging all over the place because that's just how my mind is working today. So there's no real like outline. We're just going to fucking like shoot the shit. But what I did think was really interesting was that one of the symptoms was an increased sensitivity to rejection. And I'm like, how the fuck did y'all know this? Like that, yeah. Like that is a thing for me. And that can show up in like, maybe mishearing a tone, or no, that's two totally different things in my mind. But I think that like, okay, if somebody takes a long time to reply to me that I normally talk to them like all the time or every day or whatever, and they don't tell me like why they went away for a long time, normally in my normal life, I don't care. Like you get all the grace in the world with me because I'm the one to not reply quickly at all to people like ever. But when I think that I'm going through my PMDD, I'm like, wow, the least they could have done was like, let me know like that they were going to be gone for 3 days. Like I let people know when I'm going to be gone. But like on the flip side, I don't always let people know when I'm going to be gone. Like I don't. Like sometimes I just disappear. But 9 times out of 10, I do let them know and give them a heads up because I know they would be worried, especially if we speak often. But anyways, that was just like one minor example. My experience of having PMDD, I actually didn't even know that it was a thing, to be honest with you, for me, until I started talking to a woman romantically. And I always wondered, like, what that was in my life, like, previously, like, from years ago. I told y'all, I think I told y'all, maybe I never told y'all. I don't even think I've actually given y'all an official update about that situation and how it like rehashed my me talking to a woman. But anyways, we'll get to that in another episode. This episode's about the PMDD. But there was an instance where she had asked me if I knew, like, if I had PMDD, and she said that her ex had it and that it was like a really like intense experience for her, just trying to find ways to like cope through it and stuff like that. And as much as I am against like people diagnosing other people with stuff, because I am a diagnoser, I have diagnosed everybody I know with autism for real. And I've diagnosed a lot of people with a lot of other things. I've also diagnosed people's sexualities before they may have known or not, but it's not fair. It's not a fair thing to do, right? I think also just coming from a place of like, oh my God, I cannot be diagnosed with one more fucking thing, yo. Like literally, I swear it was, I can't even remember it now. And I was just thinking about it this morning. But it was something that I thought that I possibly had. And I was like, I can't. I fucking refuse to like accept this as a diagnosis because I can't. But I've already self-diagnosed myself with being on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum. I've also diagnosed myself with ADHD, which is one that I fought for a really long time because I'm like, they're just trying to medicate creative kids. Like that's how I was like, we just think differently. We all got ADHD. And I mean, I still stand by the fact that they're just trying to medicate people, but I also do believe that like ADHD is a thing. And I definitely am absolutely neurodivergent as opposed to neurotypical. Thank God. And then I have also diagnosed myself with CPTSD. And I think that I have an episode about the difference between CPTSD and PTSD, but I definitely know that my relationship and being like abused in multiple different ways for 2 years, like it's bound to cause like trauma, right? But having gone through that continuously, that is what causes the complex PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Then we have the PMDD. So like I said, like I just didn't really want to diagnose myself with that, So now I have a couple of different things I want to say in regards to that. The way that it shows up in my life, I feel, is I'm very like fuzzy-headed, confused, like I feel like I want to say dystopian, but like this, like I can't find the fucking words I need to find. My brain just doesn't feel like it's cooperating with me sometimes. I take things really, really personally. I can like lash out at people. I can be like extra triggered. I can really, really need validation, which is like exhausting. And being someone that people also kind of rely on for validation, I just know that it's exhausting. So for me to be that person, I think I can only imagine how exhausting it is. Definitely heavy mood swings. And the biggest thing I have seen has been hopelessness. And I thought that I was hopeless because I was depressed. Or because of like the state of the world. And like, yeah, that was definitely a thing back in the day and still is a thing now. But I don't think that my battles with depression were what I thought they were. I think that when I was in America, I was definitely battling depression. And I think it was showing up in so many different ways. But I think that when I moved abroad, I learned that, okay, like, I shed the American depression. It took me about 3 months to be able to really like detox and dive in and like have as many therapy sessions that I needed to be able to like work through that, because it was really debilitating. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, but I think that was also some PMDD mixed up in there as well. And even if I try to think back to like that time that I was like, so trigger warning, I had suicidal ideations, like I definitely feel like, I don't know. I think that I got my cycle shortly after that, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember just laying on the couch and just like being despondent. And that was so scary for me. It almost reminded me of when I was on birth control. And me being on birth control and having such adverse effects makes so much sense. Some people can go on birth control and they say that it helps their PMDD as a temporary solution. But some people can go on birth control and that shit makes them spiral. I was the one that went on birth control and it made me spiral. Thank God I don't like men like that, so I don't have to like think about that anymore. And it's so funny because even when I was about to like have sex with my ex on birth control and he thought that we were gonna like, he thought he was going to be able to like to have raw sex with me. I was like, no, brother. No, this is preventing me from having your demon seed. So we need double protection, birth control and the fucking condom. And the pro is that we don't have to check the condom after we have sex now because I know I'm good. So anyways, yeah, I think that one of the reasons why I don't remember what I made her nickname be back in the episode where I talked about like me half joining some polyamorous thing. I don't remember what her nickname was, but for the sake of this, we'll just call her, I don't know, my first lesbian lover. But yeah, I think that one of the reasons why we were supposed to rekindle this time around was so that she can help me discover that. Although, like I said, I really hate being diagnosed. Like, I do think that was a valid observation. Now, speaking of that, and speaking of like other people's observations, I have realized that at this tender age of 30, I am learning how to decipher my own thoughts, and I'm learning how to like pick away what other people have told me versus what I believe, right? I think that when you're a people pleaser, you can tend to be like, oh yes, whatever everybody else says is right. Or when you have people doubting you, it's like, no, yeah, you know what, you're fine. Or then you kind of turn into like a raging bitch because you just want to like people to listen to you and you want like to prove that you know what the fuck you're talking about. That was also a phase that I went through of like, I'm not taking anyone's fucking opinions to heart because y'all know just as much as I do and I might even know more. So there was like, there's that whole roller coaster of I guess ways, ebbs and flows in my relationship with myself, my relationship with my thoughts. And I think that like the beginning of the year, I told y'all that I wanted my word of the year to be harmony. I just want to feel like inner and outer harmony. And I think that that's one of the reasons, like, I want to feel harmony with my emotions and I want to feel harmony in my brain and with my thoughts. And I know that there are like brain foods that I can eat that I can definitely like use to increase the usage of my brain. But I think in situations where somebody says like, oh, you might have like PMDD, it's like, oh, thank you for that. Like, I appreciate it. And then looking that up and learning like, yeah, I think I do. But then on the flip side, then there's part of me that wants to be like, but I think you might also have PMDD. But like I said, I'm not one to want to diagnose people. But I did think that she also experienced it based on like how she said her periods were so hard, like, and leading up to them and her emotions, et cetera, et cetera. Also, like, even I think sometimes when you take people's advice or you take their that one observation, being that I've been in so many situations where I've been gaslit, I think sometimes people take that and run with it just a little bit and be like, okay, she believed me when I said this, and I was being true, but maybe she'll also believe me when I shared this observation about her. And it's like, okay, well, you're not always spot on about every single observation. But on top of that, I also don't mind, like, speaking on my own flaws. Maybe in this episode I should talk a little bit about that, because this is my first time, like, navigating what I thought was a relationship with PMDD. Not a relationship at all, far from a relationship, but just getting to know somebody again, or whatever the case may be. Let's not take that word in, because I know back in the day I used to take that word and run with it, but I know what a relationship is and what a relationship is not. And I also probably had that paranoia because I told y'all I was the one that like told the girl I loved her 5 days into knowing her when we first started talking in 2020. So backstory is she, what did I say I was going to call her? I literally just forgot. I literally just said it. Oh, my first lesbian lover. I met her on Bumble. If you want to go back and listen to, I think, episode 3, I think I give a synopsis, but like that was my perspective from that time. And it's interesting to give my perspective of the situation now. And y'all probably like, damn girl, I thought we were just talking about CP, what do I have? PMDD. But yeah, y'all, I also told you I had ADHD and we're going to be jumping all over the place. So feel free to like skip my story if you don't care. But this will just show how I think PMDD can show up in relationships, et cetera, et cetera. So me and her met back in 2020. She was in a relationship. She told me she was poly, I think, a day after we were talking, maybe like I don't know. I think it was like within the 24 hours that we were talking. She said that I told her that a lot of people think that bisexual girls just want to like experiment, and I was bi and I had never had like an experience with a woman yet. And she was like, well, you can experiment on me. So that was kind of the beginning of the end. Later on, I went to go visit her at her house, found out that she lived with her boyfriend, which I did not know, or that he lived with her. And then it just ended up spiraling to be a lot of other things because none of us needed to be in a relationship at that time. So I think that having the perspective of knowing where I was at and knowing that I had just gotten out of a fucked up relationship, like my first relationship ever, and then diving into that literally 2 months after, like maybe a month afterwards, and then knowing that she was in a full-blown relationship, and like, yeah, that's that. Like, and like he did not identify as being poly. I think she maybe had tried it once before. I can't really remember. But yeah, I say all that to say that we rekindled after having a really like kind of tragic ending in my mind. It just was like not kind at all. And we rekindled. She DM'd me randomly, and yeah, it just seemed like, oh, perfect timing. Like my heart wasn't open to any relationship, but I was craving companionship, so I thought. And then as we started getting to know each other, it was really nice to be able to get to know her outside of the light of having a boyfriend, you know? And it was nice for her to get to know me as like empowered Atia, because I think that I'm really amazing when I'm like focused and in love with myself and caring for myself and taking care of my mental health and all that. And I felt she really meant like a broken version of me, which also deserved love and patience and kindness. But it was nice to introduce her, like allow me to reintroduce myself. But then things kind of took a turn when I think that we were both faced with the fact that we still had a lot to work on. And I think this episode is probably going to come out around, like, I'll say May. Well, maybe June. I don't know. Maybe it will come out in February. Who the fuck knows? But I still this to say I'll probably have had a conversation with her by this time, maybe. I don't know. I think I need to have a conversation with a lot of people in my life now that I've had this discovery, and I don't know. I'm navigating that too, but we'll get to that at the end of this episode. So anyways, things took a turn, yeah, when I realized that we both were still actively working on things. And I was under the impression that she was in therapy, but then she told me that like she didn't really participate in therapy the way that she should have. So you know, I mean, sometimes people can say, like, I go to therapy, but they're, like, you have to go to therapy and do the work. So I think that that's going to be my next thing when I ask people, like, oh, are you in therapy? And are you doing the work? Or are you just in therapy to say you're in therapy? Because I'm in therapy and I'm doing the work. And it actually kills me that I can only have one session a month, but I'm also grateful that I get to have a session period. Like, I'm so utterly grateful from the bottom of my soul, because there are a lot of people out there that simply just don't have the resources or the support to be able to have therapy. So I'm so grateful for that support. So I think that was a big thing that I didn't realize was such a big thing, though, in my mind. Like, I think I kind of took the place of her therapist, and things that you would normally talk to your therapist about and then kind of talk to your friend afterward about, like just kind of work through it and do after work. I think that I was like, I took the role of like, oh no, I'm bringing this to your attention, or I'm asking you questions and you're bringing it to your attention. And the way that certain things were phrased to me, it just seemed like, yeah, I'm helping her work through some things, and that's beautiful and that's great. I love that. Especially as a Virgo, you already know, like, our greatest goal is to be able to help people. But I think that when it comes to like a relationship, that can get a little bit heavy at times, and vice versa. I was doing the same. I was running stuff by her and processing stuff, but I was also doing a lot of the work, like I said, and I was talking to my therapist about it in the interim. So I think that definitely played a major role in this. I think that also she still kind of slightly saw me as old me, and I slightly saw her as old her, like from 4 years or 5 years ago. And also, I think the fact that she was like, I don't want to say fresh out of a relationship, but like, I just feel like people should be single. If you want to have like a really intimate relationship with somebody, I feel like you should be single for 2 years and like really put in the work. Because like, if you can be single for less than a year and then you just kind of jump into something new? Like, were you able to digest any of the stuff that happened in your last relationship? And even if you weren't the problem in your last relationship, even though I think we all play parts, like, I don't know. It's the same thing happened to the guy that I ended my celibacy with. Like, he wanted me to clap it up for him that he, did I say lost or ended? Because I definitely meant to say ended or paused. 'Cause you don't lose shit. But yeah, like, I think he was only single for like, I don't even remember. I'm so grateful that I actually don't remember. But yeah, it wasn't long enough because that man talked about his fucking ex, I told y'all, for like 12 hours, bro. It was really crazy. It was insane. And he like claimed to be a healer. Like, so heal yourself. So yeah, that was a fucking mess. But I say all that to say that, yeah, I think that you should definitely be single for a long time. I think it started getting complicated when she was confused, but then kind of would project that confusion onto me. And I was already going through my own confusion of just navigating stuff, but I was just navigating it behind the scenes, working through some things. And like, I don't know. I just felt like she was projecting what she was feeling and then was being like, yeah, see, I knew you were feeling that. And it would be like, no, but you were feeling that. And you just gave me the space to be able to say that I was feeling it. But you were feeling that. It doesn't mean that you just like instantly, intuitively knew what I was feeling. It's because that's what you felt. And I don't know. I just feel like projections and a lack of accountability in like our realities being different and that being okay can tend to become a bit gaslighty. It just starts feeling like, no, I know you better than you know yourself, or like, I don't know, it just gives that, or I'm so intuitive, I know. But it's like, okay, so if you know, then you would have known that I wasn't ready and that we shouldn't have done any of this, then you shouldn't have DM'd me in the first place because I wasn't ready. I don't know, like, if you're so intuitive, you know, or it's like when people are like, yeah, I do energy work, but their energy be fucked up. Or like people be like, yeah, I can read energy, but they be talking to me for like an hour, and I'm like, you can't read that, my energy is done talking to you now. Like, that is so funny when people be like, yeah, I do shadow work, but they have the darkest shadows that they have not worked on. Like, it's just so clear. Or like the healers, they be like, yeah, I'm a healer, I heal people, but they be the most fucked up people. Like, take that as your motherfucking sign, y'all. If somebody says they are intuitive, they do shadow work, they do they're a healer, or they're fucking, I don't know, psychic. Like, I just don't feel like people that are actually those things walk around on earth saying that they're those things. Actually, they're like kind of sacred practices that you can't tell everybody about. So yeah, like, I'm not gonna walk around saying that I'm a healer. One, because I got a lot of healing on my own to do, and if I just so happen to heal people during the process, then great. But yeah, that's why I don't call myself a sex expert, because there's so much to heal. There's so much to learn. There's so many things I want to change when it comes to my relationship with sex, with myself, and with other people. So yeah, it's not to say that I don't think that she's intuitive. I do. I think that that's one of the things that drew us together. But I think that sometimes intuitive people can come off as like, yeah, I'm like more intuitive than you, or like my intuition is higher or stronger. And I think that everybody should just trust their own individual intuition. And maybe that's a story I put behind it. You know, maybe that wasn't really what she felt, but it's just she spoke about being so intuitive and just knowing all the time that I'm like, okay. It's just very interesting to observe. And I think that my final straw in that, in knowing that what the fuck was happening, or just being like, okay, I'm done being confused, because I wasn't confused like before we were talking, was I think when she brought up the fact that, oh no, okay, so it was a roller coaster. So first it started with her kind of friend zoning me and saying that she didn't think that, she asked me if I felt like I was really ready to be in a relationship right now. And I told her, no, I had been really kind of pondering this over the last couple of like days, like just thinking, was I ready for a relationship? But no, like, since she created the space to be able to talk about it with her, I didn't think that I was ready. Or had the capacity. That was what she asked me. Did I have the capacity to be in a relationship? I really learned very quickly that I did not have the capacity to be in a relationship with anybody, let alone somebody that has like familiar energy where we're trying to like work through shit. Even just like us sharing our perspectives about like what happened back in the day and her reading the messages back, like, it was so triggering for me, and she didn't get as triggered, and I was trying to figure out why it wasn't as triggering for her. But then I realized, like, no, because I was the one that was like hurt in the situation.
So, and she was fine. She got to, I mean, she was going through her own stuff, but she got to have her man and kind of just go on with life and navigate things on her own, as opposed to me that felt like I had this like first lesbian lover. And she acknowledged like how she didn't realize, she wished she would have nurtured the relationship a bit more. So I did really appreciate that and give me the attention that I deserved, especially being that it was my first lesbian relationship or situationship. You're kind of setting the tone, So you live and you learn. But yeah, I just felt like she kind of gave me the space to be able to share that I didn't think that I had the capacity. And then it kind of flipped into like, yeah, see, I knew it. Like, I'm so intuitive. I knew that you didn't have the capacity. Like, I knew it. But then also said, well, I didn't have the capacity either. Like, she didn't have the capacity either. Like she thought she did. And like, yeah, there was a lot that she realized that she needed to learn, et cetera, et cetera. But somehow it seemed like it was still flipped on me. Like, but you're saying that that's how you felt. That's the situation I'm talking about, where it's like you ask me how I feel about something and then say like, I knew it, but the whole time you felt that way in your own life. Like, so just say what you feel, and maybe that'll open the gate for me. It's just kind of manipulative. And I think that I've learned for myself, because I will speak for myself, that I in the past have had manipulative tendencies in past relationships, which is why I knew I needed to stop dating. Because when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, with somebody that's abusive, with somebody that is gaslighting you, with somebody that is bipolar, all of these things, right? When you're in a relationship with somebody that's kind of tweaking your reality, you then start taking on their tendencies. It's called reactive abuse, and you start becoming the way that they are. It's almost like Stockholm syndrome. Like, you start feeling compassionate for your captor. I think that's the syndrome I'm thinking of, right? You start feeling compassionate for the person that's like causing you harm, and I don't know, it's just something that I think your brain does to be able to help you cope. Maybe we should stop coping. Maybe we should just leave. But yeah, I said all that to say that I think that the fact that she's been in situations, as we all have as women, to where you've been gaslit or whatever the case may be, you kind of start doing that to other people. And it might not look like that because you know your spirit, you know your intention, you know your soul, but it's like, but that's what it is, babes, And I think that acknowledging when you are possibly manipulating or gaslighting somebody can be helpful to then not do it again, because it's not fair. And like I said, when I realized that I was doing that in my relationships, I had to literally stop dating until I figured out what the fuck that was, And I think sometimes it's also like trying to help people feel better, Sometimes if you're a people pleaser, you want everybody to feel comfortable. So how can I manipulate the room to feel them as comfortable as they can, even though that's really just your own thing? Like, you don't want to feel uncomfortable with other people feeling uncomfortable. I don't know. It's a very interesting thing to work through. But so we had that roller coaster. I had a day of sadness where I felt like I kind of got like a little bit broken up with, or like friend zoned. But I also was like sad with facing the reality more so that like, wow, I really am not ready for a relationship. Like, shit, because I thought that before it was like the problem was guys. And now I'm like, no, I think that there is no problem. I just don't have the capacity for that right now. But it's so weird when I spent like from like 17 to 27 trying to find companionship, trying to find somebody to love me and appreciate me and see me and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's very interesting to observe. But I will say that I think for me, I was fine with being friends. That was great. But then we got on FaceTime and she started flirting and saying really sexual things. And I shared with her some of the things I had been through, because I actually didn't realize how much my sexual trauma had also impacted me and my sexuality, right? So even when I ended my celibacy, like, I didn't share with that person that I had been, like, what I had been through. Because they came off as like, the facade they put up was, oh, I'm a healer, whatever. So I'm thinking like, okay. And it's so funny because I told him at one point, like, yeah, our sex was really healing. And he took that, and I think he took that as like he's healing. But no, it was just the certain things that he did during sex, like checking in on me, like the bare fucking minimum, checking in on me, to us taking a breather, complimenting me. Shit, that's really it. Those were the three things. Like, brother, it really was not that big. But it was helpful for me in my journey when it came to sexuality, because that was the first time I had sex after being assaulted. And like, these are not things that I don't know. I think back in the day, I used to feel like I wanted to tell people stuff like this. Or tell people that I was, like, give them a warning about it. But I don't know. I just feel like I wanted to have sex with him. And that was it. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that with him, it got grimy when he just like added my best friend on Instagram. And it was just like, what are we doing? Like, and liked the story about her birthday. Like, I don't know. It was just very trifling to me personally. I think that's when it got like icky. Because I've been ghosted before, whatever. I knew that he was fucking like not competent in the world of relationships right now, like meaning he didn't need to be in a relationship. But like I was happy he was anti-relationship because he definitely needs time to heal and not date anybody. But don't tell a man that because they can barely handle it. Anyways, I don't know how I started talking about that situation. Okay, so back to the original story about my first lesbian lover. So after we talked about the whole capacity thing, and after I had like one day of sadness, but really mourning the fact that like, wow, this version of me of wanting a companion and intimacy and all that stuff, I really have to get to know like all the other parts of me now, because that part of me has like grown up or something. I don't know, or maybe she's scared, but I don't think it's fear. I think that when it's the right situation, I don't know. I guess you can feel fear, but I don't know. I think that also sometimes your body is just telling you certain things. I don't know. I do know, but I'm working through figuring that out. Because I feel like sometimes fear doesn't always mean a bad thing. I think sometimes there's like this gut feeling that shows up as fear, but I think it's really your gut being like, I don't think this is the right thing for right now. Anyways, afterwards, so after like mourning that part of myself, but really I think that it definitely came across as me mourning our relationship. And I think that also there was part of that, right? Like there was a segment of that because this is like somebody from your past, right? You just always think, wow, when somebody comes from the past, like you want it to go right the next time. And it's like, I think it did go right. I think it went exactly how it was supposed to go. I think that we got to meet each other outside of the circumstances we had with her having a relationship and me being fresh out of one. And yeah, I think that maybe just realizing that you're better off as friends I think it's a really healthy thing. But I think that if the friendship that she's used to and the friendship that I'm used to are different, then that can also cause some friction. So, I remember she said something about her exes and something. And I don't know, I remember from before, like, comparing me to her exes was always a thing, because they were Virgos, and she knows Virgos so well. And I'm like, girl, if you knew how much shit I talk about Tauruses, you'd be so surprised that, like, I even gave it a shot, because I have Taurus in my chart, but I've also just had some situations with Taurus, even her, that have just been like, what is happening? Like, Taurus just always makes me feel like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I'm just always like, what the fuck is happening with the Taurus? Like, I'm like, what reality are we in? Please just give me a hint so that I can, like, manage it properly. So, and that's all every single Taurus I know. So, yeah, and, like, the fact that it's in my chart, the parts of me that annoy myself, I think that's the Taurus in me, to be honest with you. But, yeah, like, she was just always talking about her Virgo exes. I get it, but, like, I'm not them. So, and talk to your other friends about that if that's how passionately you feel. But, like, I don't know, it's weird. Matter of fact, like, now, why that's a theme in my life. Like, people constantly talking about their exes, and it's fine if you use that as a reference point of your healing. It's fine if you're catching me up on stories. That is fine. I want to know the stories. Like, let me know. Give me great perspective. But comparing somebody to an ex, or like when I'm sharing my story with the guy that I had ended my celibacy with, and he was constantly taking every story I shared and comparing it to his ex, or like constantly comparing me to your Virgo exes, that is a fucking lot. So anyways, then at one point we started talking on the phone, and she was like flirting with me and was saying sexual comments and all that stuff. And I was like, girl, I thought we were friends. Like, where did the flirting and stuff come from now? So that was like interesting to adjust with. And then she's like, actually, I think that I do have the capacity, or I don't know. She didn't know what she wanted. So then later on, like, I think I had asked her, well, what do you desire? Like, what are your desires for a relationship? Because I'm thinking, oh, she knows. Like, it's me. I'm the problem. Like, it's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. But no, she was like, oh, I don't really know what I desire. Girl. She's like, I have to think about it. Girl, I thought that what the fuck? I thought that you had a clear indication of everything that you wanted. And I was the one that was confused and didn't have the capacity and all that stuff. So so you're, what the fuck? So you don't even know what you want and what you desire? Okay. And I understand things can shift, but I just thought that she was in the know. So then it made total and complete sense why the fuck I was so extra confused. Because not only was I dealing with my own confusion, which I had no doubt that I had, but then I was dealing with her confusion, but cosplaying as somebody who was not confused about it, but sometimes was transparent about their confusion. I don't fucking know. It's very interesting to observe. Hey, beautiful souls, the free portion of this video has ended, but we are about to get into the juicy stuff. So if you want to finish listening to this episode, laughing with us, well, we're not going to cry in this episode, but laughing with us and kikiing with me, I don't know who us is, I guess everybody else who's listening to this episode, then feel free to head to my Patreon and become a paid patron where you can have access to so much bonus content, tutorials, pleasure tutorials, self-love tips, self-love notes. The world is yours on my Patreon. I'll see you over there. Click the link in my description to join. Thank you for listening. Mwah.